that bottom mark. There's been a massive right-hand shift in this course. We might see these boats go up this course in one dig.
Nathan Outridge, he tacked to cover the Aussies. Remember, they are 4 points behind in the overall standing, and he's pretty focused on rolling back in.
Tops to 28, bottom to 26.
We're almost laying at this angle.
And you can hear there Nathan Outridge says we're almost laying at this angle, and you can see instead of going sideways to these imaginary ladder lines, they're literally going straight up the course. So this could become just a dead set drag race.
Yeah, that puff has come from the right-hand side, and not only more increase in pressure, but also direction.
It's got a bit slow for me.
Nathan looks quite comfortable there on board. There's not much chat, so he's looked fairly relaxed.
Interesting in the build-up to today, Jody, he has maximised his pre-race time. He's been sailing this course, the most active, the most focused, I think, of any of the teams we've seen.
It looks like Australia might be coming over to the left-hand side. You see a big dark patch of breeze way over there on the city side. So they might pick something up there. You see Tommy just looking around, getting his options working out.
2, 1, puff on.
Well, we see Nathan looking around. You can see the French boat right on his hip, getting lifted on the inside. French might lay, Nathan might not.
It's still very, very close here between the top 5 boats. We're not sure where China is. They might have had a little bit of an issue there, but the rest of them, they're still smoking up towards the top mark. One tack, that's all they've done so far in that Team Japan boat.
I'm struggling. Yep.
And you hear there Luke Parker saying he's struggling to keep it up, but they made it up to the top.
Slow though, Jody. Look at the boat speed, 14 knots. Very slow rounding. Really had to stuff it up into the wind to get round that mark.
Where this top marks is right up underneath a break wall, so it gets very, very light and then gusty and light and gusty. So you see there with their jibe, very super slow, Shirley, as you said.
As were the French. 2 hulls in the water. Tricky to accelerate from that.
And the French now trying to jibe to try and maybe get over the top of the Japanese. They've obviously seen something from the left-hand side, so both boats have decided they want to get out of this real light area patch.
Another attack.
It'll be interesting to see whether the British who are coming over from the left will continue on. I think exactly that's what they're going to do, along with the Aussies.
They're very nervous of the right-hand side of the screen, and we saw boats getting stuck there earlier. I mean, this wind is gusting off the land. It's unstable. It's unpredictable.
Here's the big play. Great Britain and the Aussies have gone to the left-hand gate at the top as you're looking downwind, and they're catching this breeze pretty quick. The French were the big losers out of that. Japan are off midway down the run at this stage, but the Aussies, they've done all right. So did the British there, Shirley.
Going to be a double job.
Well, we just heard USA are retiring. There was some kind of technical issue, and we'll bring you that news when we find out.
But it's just one jibe, and in there's a very despondent USA boat. They were on the podium at this stage. They were in 3rd position. So whatever problem they've got to get that sorted, because every single point counts here in this grand final in Marseille.
I know we were in 5th, but at least it felt like we were coming at good speed, you know.
You got Nathan Outridge and his crew on Japan still going one jibe straight down the middle of the course. So we've got a big wind shift, which has allowed them to go basically in one, as they say, jibing now to coming to the bottom gate.
Well, we just heard from the technical team, USA have board damage, and I wonder if that happened earlier. They hit something earlier, their divers down trying to fix it, and certainly it looks like they couldn't find a solution.
And that's not something that you'll be able to fix between races. So fingers crossed for those guys that they can get it sorted. But a very sloppy little mark around here with Team Japan. They want to get over to that left-hand side. So they've chosen the left mark, Australia. Will they go straight through? Yes, they will. They're not going to follow their rivals, the guys who they're going to be punching it out with for this overall title. They've gone to the right. So have the British, French. Very slow in this middle of this gate, Shirley.
You can see it's a great shot there. You can see the big puffs of pressure right in the middle. You can also see, where it's not dark, where there's less wind.
Japan's still going out. We're going to watch them go through this tack here. Punched over to the right-hand side. Big spin there by Nathan Outridge on the helm. And Luke Parkinson on flight controls got it back up and flying.
Go Chip, boys.
They are well-oiled machine. It's a pleasure to watch, isn't it? It's very calm on board. Everyone knows their jobs. They've sailed together, you know, for years in the America's Cup and in the Olympic Games. And when conditions are difficult like this, Jody, when it's unpredictable and changing quickly, that really helps.
And one thing, if you're watching it from back home, you watch there's some guys running around in shorts and some guys running down in wetsuits. It's interesting to see how comfortable these guys want to be out sailing. That's a nice shot there of Japan. They went to the left-hand gate, one tack out. Australia split gate, and it looks like Japan have done quite well out of that.
I mean, the forecast for this weekend is a worry. Currently it looks sailable, but there's plenty chance that perhaps this championship will all go down to these fleet races. So Nathan pretty focused on getting those 4 points back and controlling the Aussies.
And that's exactly what you just said. They're controlling the Aussies. They've tacked. They're not going to let the Aussies get over to this right-hand side as you're looking upwind and pick something off their hip. So great work there by the Japanese. They'll come over here and they'll just dump straight on top of the Aussies and will make it painful to get to this top mark for the Aussies.
Yeah, it's much tighter, Jody. Look, the Aussies are really back in contention.
And considering Kyle Langford's been in the sickbed for the last couple of days and they were a little bit disjointed in the practice racing, but they've looked like they've got their the teams back in, the bands back together, and they're ready to rock and roll, this Australian team. Tommy Slingsby even sounds different on the boat.
Happy to keep it fast for this next pressure.
Well, we're hearing Kyle Langford. He's the wing trimmer, but he also calls the modes all the time, just telling everyone what they're trying to achieve.
And this is what you call a dead set, a drag race to the top.
Copy.
Australia want to try and be a little bit lower.
Actually, no, the wind's on our hip. Do a good tack here and we've got a shot, boys. Getting softer.
Is it starboard rounding? We're going to go through the gate.
Pressing here.
So this is the big, who's going to blink first coming into this gate? Japan getting there first. They need to nail their tack. Can the Australians split it again? And I think they will. Yes, they're going to. They're going to go over to the other side. Japan have done the right thing and tacked over. And will they get that right-hand shift early?
Did you check those heart rates, Jody? The grinders' heart rates on the Japanese boat were over 190. They are working hard. When conditions are like this, there is so much adjusting to do. That wing is in and out constantly.
But it's Japan, they've nailed it, they've tacked early. Australia might have missed that, and it's through the finish is Team Japan for a win.
Well, so the double job was a bit unnecessary. Sorry about that.
Not sure what happened to the Australians. They went way past that tack line, and they had, I'd say Tommy would be ruined the fact that he just went a little bit too far through that gate.
Okay, just turn up here in 2.
Well, bad start for the Aussies. They weren't in the lineup. They weren't on the case, and had a fight from then on in.
The British are coming in for what will be a third spot for them, which is going to help them out with their fight for the podium because USA, as we know, are out. Certainly at this race.
Boys. Coming down, man. Slow down, lad. Cushion down.
Well, Chris Draper saying, well done, lads. I mean, they really need a consistent event here. The last 2 events, you know, they've capsized, they've not finished. So they're trying to keep it steady.
Nice work.
Well, great graphic. It shows you how hard they have been working, not only the foil angles, but also the twist on the wing. Look at the temperatures. I mean, the maximum temperatures they run at before the machine begins to shut down is 80, I think 80, 85 degrees, Jody. So they are right up there. Priority in between the races now. Cool everything down.
Cool everything down, open the hatches, get some air in there. As we see China just coming over the line now to finish their race. First race here in the grand final in Marseille. USA in the background and limping around, seeing if they can fix it. That is the big story because they were on the podium with a 3-point lead coming in to Marseille.
Okay,
so
back
the British supporters out there, why there's life, there's hope, and they would be hoping they won't be able to fix this USA boat. So Shirley, race 1 of the grand final is in the books.
A lot of sport to go, Jody. 7 more fleet races and that all-important championship match race. Can't wait.
The first of our fleet races is done, and no shortage of drama to pull apart there, boys. A fantastic start.
Yeah, I mean, what a great way to start the weekend. And the first bit we really want to look at today is the start. It was an amazing start. 5 boats really close together, and bizarrely, the Australians right at the back, a bit like, you know, carrying on from where they were yesterday.
I think it was the closest start we've seen all season. Apart from Australia at the back, you had 5 boats within a boat's length there.
Yeah, they were really aligned and close from each other, and by having the French pulling hard on the home water, I think everybody was a bit on pressure. And let's have a look maybe at what happened on board the Aussie boat.
Well, for me, we can take a look at the analysis later on, but the big one for me there, America, the US out with the board failure.
That's a real shame. I really feel for those guys. I've been so impressed with how they've sort of built through this year, and I think they've definitely been the most improved player, and they had a real opportunity here to shine and you know, get a third in this in the whole series. In the season, and you know, that's fallen by the wayside now.
Well, we know how critical it is now for them to get this fixed and get back into hopefully the second fleet race, if not the second, then the third, because every single point is working towards they can't make it into the match racing final, but they can still claim 3rd place.
Yeah, and let's hope it can be maybe quickly fixed. You never really know how long it's going to take, so all the experts are on board now, just looking at the issue, and we will have some more information, I hope, in a few minutes.
But a fantastic drag race between Tom and Nathan to finish it off.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to focus too much on those guys because the whole story is about them this weekend, and now it's official that it will be Japan and Australia in the final. But it's about them again, wasn't it? And didn't they look strong?
Okay, a great first race to kick us off here in Marseille. So, confirmation of the results at the first fleet race here in Marseille. Japan just out in front of Australia. Dylan Fletcher's Great Britain in 3rd. Billy Besson with France just behind it in 4th. And the United States didn't manage to finish, so they take the 6th place down there. So we can head out onto the water and hear from Nathan Outridge, the skipper of the Japan boat, after the first fleet race.
If you can hear me, but we've seen you really focused in the pre-start. I mean, how hard are these conditions? Just give us a glimpse into how difficult it is to race here in this.
It's really shifty. Hopefully you can hear me now. You got me?
Yeah, we've got you.
All right, great. Yeah, so basically out on the right-hand side of the track, we've got a lot of wind just sort of blowing parallel to the shore. But just 20 minutes before the start, we had wind coming off the land, and there was this big convergence zone of no wind. So we were thinking it was going to be go straight around the mark and lay the bottom mark on starboard, and then all of a sudden the race was all about the jibet at the first mark. So it's evolving out here, and it looks like it's a bit more uniform now. It looks like it's a bit more steady, and they're going to try and straighten the course up. But kind of reminds me of New York. It's all over the place, and we just have to do a really good job with the boat handling and keep our eyes out of the boat.
We saw you in the pre-start. I mean, no one was working harder. You were sailing that course. It looked like real focus on board Team Japan. Just give us a glimpse into your strategy. What's your plan today? What are you hoping to achieve?
Well, we've got to get those points back on the Aussies, don't we? So our plan is to win all the races and where possible, make their life difficult. So you saw in the start, you know, with about 20 seconds to go, we saw a bit of an opportunity to try and shut the Aussies out, and in doing so meant that they were started 2nd row. So I don't expect Tom's going to let us do that again, but that's the strategy.
Good insight. Thanks, Nathan.
No worries. Cheers, guys.
Great bit of insight there from Nathan Outridge talking to Shirley Robertson. What do you gentlemen pull from that, what he said there?
Yeah, really interesting that, you know, already the match racing tactics are starting to evolve between these two, and they're already focused on it now, which is smart because, you know, anything can happen this weekend.
Yeah, and you keep the pressure really high on the other boats, so I won't be surprised if it just increasing starts after starts.
We've seen a lot of personality coming out of both Tom and Nathan, but we'll take a look back at the race now, and the logical place to start is the start. Pull this apart for us, Matt. What do you see?
Well, it'd be great to see the footage here. You can see the boats really close. You know, there's 5 teams that get a great start. The only one, interestingly, is Australia, and that was their main problem yesterday in the training, as they were struggling to start. Bam, look at them go. You know, great time on distance for those 5 teams there. And, you know, great to see the French getting a brilliant start on home waters. Unfortunately, they couldn't quite convert that throughout the race. But the Japanese, you know, again, has been their strength. Yesterday, they did get 1 OCS, actually, but the rest of the time, they started really, really well. And they seem to be doing it throughout the season this year. The Aussies, you know, looking for opportunities to catch up, and actually what they do at the first mark is really, really good. They do a jibe set, they've got nice clear air when they do it, and they do a beautiful jibe set, and actually catch 3 boats just in one maneuver. You can see the 3 boats in front of them kind of taking each other out a little bit. They get an opportunity at Mark 1 there in a few seconds, they jibe over, and they were straight back into 3rd place, and they kind of carried on and got a 2nd.
It was for a while, though, unfamiliar territory for Tom Slingsby.
Yeah, it's like if he was waiting for the other to stay up and get the opportunity of having this jibe set. So it was a good move. And then going down, the French boats didn't manage to keep the lead on the way down. So it gives him another opportunity to catch up on the Japanese.
Okay, we can take a look now as well at the US boat, who managed to overload one of the foils. So they managed to break that foil. It must be heartbreaking for Rome, because he didn't have a bad start.
Yeah, so it turns out actually, hopefully it's not the foil that's broken, it sounds like it's the downline, and that is something that they can fix. They should be able to get that hopefully fixed for the next race in Cowan Racing. Definitely heartbreaking, because they've got a golden opportunity here to shine, as we talked about, and I really want to see those guys doing well. They're such a great team, and you know, really impressed with those guys, so fingers crossed.
Okay, well, we could see them repairing the boat now, and it's almost pressure off, isn't it? They know that the match race is out of reach now, so the battle for 3rd place begins.
Yeah, definitely, and we were saying that it's about the match race, but also the ranking for the other team is really important. It's the first season, so everybody wants to shine, and being on the podium 3rd or 4th is a big difference. So let's get finger crossed for the next race.
Yeah, we've already got 2 stories now. We've got the grand final and we've got the other 4, and you know, it's going to twist and turn all weekend.
Well, as you made the point at the start, we can see some footage now of both Japan and Australia drag racing up to the last upwind mark before they turned off to the finish. And this is what they're going to be doing for the next 4 or 5 fleet races, because they can't let any of the points slip just in case we lose that match race.
Absolutely. They've realised the importance. They even talked about in the press conference the importance of these fleet races. And, you know, how well did the Australians do after that start? They were so far behind everyone else. But, you know, we talked about them being out of sorts yesterday, Tom being angry, and bam, you know, even after a bad start, they're straight back in it. These guys know what they're doing.
Yeah, top class champion, and they don't really feel the pressure. I think today he was just relax, and even with the bad start managed to come back, so it's a really good sign for the next race.
I think it was fair to say that Nathan hasn't been feeling the pressure, but Nathan has been needling Tom all week. There's been a little bit of argy-bargy there, hasn't there?
Yeah, it's been brilliant. We saw in a press conference, Nathan was sort of saying to Tom, I don't care, you know, you can, when it comes to the match race, I don't care which side I enter, you know, you can take starboard if you can take port if you want, which is generally the favoured end. And, you know, what a great mindset to put himself in too, that doesn't matter. You know, I don't care which side I enter, I don't care about the factors. I'm just going to go out there and sail around the course better than you. And it's great to see these mind games evolving. I want to see more of that over the weekend too. We're seeing it on the race course as well.
Okay, well, the promise of big wins this weekend are casting a shadow over proceedings, it's fair to say, at the moment, because we saw the boats tested to their absolute limits in Cowes. Some of the skippers dealt with it really well, some of the skippers really struggled. So we've decided to take a closer look at what it takes to successfully navigate an F50 round of racecourse in heavy winds.
These boats are a handful. They're extremely powerful.
That's very dangerous. Bow goes right down.
These things are dangerous, and you can definitely get bit by these boats.
You can see it in some of the guys' eyes. They're like, oh God, hang on.
Straight over the top at USA. That is very close.
If you make a small mistake, you pay cash.
When it gets really windy, we still haven't done quite enough sailing in them for everyone to be totally locked into certain modes. It is just a lot of instincts, you know, flying as you go and figuring it out and really feeling what's right and wrong on the boat and just trying to correct it as you go and keep the wing in the sky.
Team Japan is holding up Australia.
In San Francisco, couldn't see where the finish line was. I glanced at the speedo, I saw we were doing 48 knots. And what I decided to do was drop the dagger board, which was an error on my behalf.
Australia has put the bow in massive, and it's Japan in through for second.
Yeah, 48 knots to 3 knots and a big crash.
Yeah, lost it.
You do know it's going to happen. You get about 2 seconds to hold on usually. Hopefully that doesn't happen out of a manoeuvre when we have to run across the trampoline, because that's when you're totally exposed, and that's the really high risk part of this sailing.
Cows, you know, it was very windy, quite wavy. We were slightly slow on the entry to the mark, and then we're going from slow speed to super high speed, and we were just a little bit slow to react to all those things with the speed, you know, the time we had. It's amazing how one small little thing knocks on effect, and then obviously the end product is people getting hurt and boats falling to bits.
When you plant it that hard and you're doing 40+ knots to 2 knots, it's like being in a car crash.
Oh, the USA are in! Are they going to survive? The USA are in! Are they going to... No.
On Saturday and Sunday, it is forecast to be in the 25 to gusting 30 knot range, so it's going to be right on the limit of the F50. Now, joining both Matt and Jan in our reporting team, we also have the Olympic silver medalist from Rio in the NACRA 17 class, Lisa Darmanin, out on the water. Lisa, can you give us any insight into what's going on the US boat at the moment?
Yeah, unfortunately, when the US dropped their dagger board, they broke their down line, which essentially means that they can't keep their board down. So they haven't called for backup from the tech team. They're just relying on the guys on the chase boat to fix that. They're still working hard to fix it, so it's not quite ready for race 2, but fingers crossed for them.
Okay, and what about the wind out there? It certainly looks in the background behind you like the wind's getting up.
Yeah, compared to the 7 knots we had at the beginning of the day, we're getting about 17 knots average, and the chop is coming. So I'm sure the guys are really enjoying it after some light wind training.
Okay, thank you very much, Lisa. We'll come back to you later on in the day. Jan, we talked about this. Such different conditions to the training that we've seen this week.
Yeah, definitely. Now it starts to be gusty, as it was yesterday, but it's between being able to fully foil in full speed or struggling on the other side of the course. The good point is, the stronger it is, maybe there is less big shift, but tacticians are really going to be focused on how to approach the right corner of the course.
Okay, a big battle going on. Well, two battles essentially now, Matt.
There is, yeah, and it's almost, we can kind of take, well, who knows what's going to happen in the grand final. I think it's going to happen, and hopefully, you know, that's those two in the final. And it's going to be really interesting to watch the other 4 now. A little bit disappointing in the US. Out of that, for that first race, hopefully they're back. Yeah.
Well, interestingly, I've just had confirmation from Race Direction in my ear that the USA are requesting more time, an extension before Fleet Race 2 to try and get the boat out on the water. That's a statement of intent by Rome Kirby and the team of just how much they want to be a part of this second race.
Oh, these guys, I mean, you saw after the capsize they had in Cowes, they were chomping at the bit to get the boat going again. There was some onboard footage and dialogue after that accident, and they wanted everything to go right for them, make sure the systems work well. Let's get back out there. There was no chat of going back in and not racing, and they'll be the same out there right now.
Okay, let's take a look at the championship board. That's how it stands at the moment. Japan have reeled in 1 point on Australia. Can they keep going?
We are finally here. The grand final is upon us.
Well, what a weekend of sporting drama these fans are going to see.
What?
Well, the wind is getting up, puffy and shifty coming off the land. It could not be harder for our sailors, but plenty of action for us watching.
Well, welcome back to race number 2 here in France for the grand final, and the drama continues with the USA team. What they have done, they have broken their board down line. So it's a rope that pulls the board up and down, Shirley, and you can see them frantically trying to fix it. We've got 40 seconds to go. It'll be a miracle if these guys make the start line. I don't think that's going to happen.
Massive blow for Rum Kirby and his American team. But with 30 seconds to go, they're winding it up.
And have a look at this. It's on. We know it's on between these pair. Nathan Outridge is trying to get below Tommy Slingsby to try and get him on the hook. I'd say with the 20-degree wind shift, everyone wants to be as low as this start line as they can so they can nail that first mark. Outridge just holding off there. 10 seconds to go.
If you're going to start at the top end, at the top of the screen here, you've got to be pretty confident you can get over everyone. Everyone looking for a quick jibe at that turning mark.
And he's done a good job there, Outridge. So as Billy Besson in France, like the first race, he has nailed it with speed. Australia very slow off that start, like he was in the first race, but you've seen him come back in the second. But have a go at the local team. Billy Besson is fired up.
He's good at the starts. It's so important. Nathan's done it, hasn't he? He's got round.
This is the umpires. Penalty France, relative China.
A penalty in France. Just when we thought they were going well, they've got a penalty. Oh, my God. Anyway, it's Japan now into the first mark in first place. China in second. Australia, with that very conservative start, are in third. Poor old France are still trying to wash off their penalty and get that thing back up and moving. They've lost 4 spots just from that one penalty.
Not sure what happened there, but a class act from Nathan Outridge and his Japanese team. I mean, it's so hard to get your time and distance right at 40 knots. And in these difficult conditions, the computer's not helping you too much.
He said to you in the after race interview, he said all it's about is just chipping away at these points for the Aussies. So they can put a few boats in between him and the Australians. It's going to be game on for this final. There's no doubt about that. And the Japanese have to jibe here pretty quick because they're coming into the boundary.
Well, the wind has shifted to the left.
3, 2, 1, very short-lived. That's your bottom.
Which will mean the course is not quite on axis. And we saw them being able to sail along that boundary much more than we did in the first race.
The Chinese have hit the boundary penalty as well. Japanese went in. Australia jibed early, so it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to come out of this that early jibe and whether that will get them down to the gate to mix it up with their foes on the water in the Japanese. Time will tell. And there's a good shot of Australia and the British. Australia have had to jibe, so they haven't made that bottom mark at all.
Australia, they just don't look quite right today, Jodie.
Probably just take a fraction
Just
of
not
roll forward.
firing as well as normal.
I think nerves, it's the big show. We're into the big dance, the final one, so it's all to play for. There's no next week, so pressure does funny things to people, Shirley. These guys are handling the pressure pretty well, and the Japanese, they're in and around the bottom mark for the first time in first. Phil Robertson done well to get out of that start of his in the second. Australia splitting bottom mark again was what they've done in the final lap of that first mark. So Tommy liked that play. Japan still heading out to sea towards what should be close to a boundary pretty soon. They're going to have to attack. Australia attacking now, so we should see a cross fairly soon.
Hey, good breeze here, boys.
Luke Parkinson looked pretty cool there down in the flight control position. China attacked out early.
I'm interested to see this, Jodie. I mean, we heard on board the Australian team, you know, good pressure. They were happy there. Let's see if they've closed that gap up.
Yeah, they look a little bit light there. The Japanese are not quite foiling. They're just one hull in up. They come just as we speak. So he just fired that thing up at the right time because the Australians are coming across pretty quick. Now can Slingsby and co get right over to this right-hand side and be able to get up into the to the gate with one more tack? This will be interesting.
The pressure oscillating all the time, and we can hear from the onboards. The Aussies think they're in phase with all the pressure changes. Let's see if they can make a big gain on that right-hand side of the course.
And there's your heartbeat, Nathan Outridge. He's 146. As you can see, the grinders, they're pumping away. They've got their heart pumping, burning the calories.
They're young, Jodie. It's fine.
That's it. There's Australia coming over to the boundary now and just tacking off. So this will be interesting. Can they set themselves up here once they get up and foiling to make this top gate? Put some real time in the Japanese, who no way they'll make that top
bad
gate.
Bad tack, though. Jody. I don't think they did so well, but let's see how that rolls.
Yeah, they bottomed right out to about 12 knots in the tack, so the pressure is on every manoeuvre. Touchdown there for Japan. They're in underneath that break wall, so it's very light up underneath there. And here comes the Aussies.
We're going to have to be a little fast mode here.
Yeah, I think with the
They're on starboard tack. They have all the rights in a boat on boat situation.
Struggling to see the top mark.
That's not handy when the skipper's struggling to see where the top marks are. So they sound a little bit more fruitier on board. There's a little bit more enthusiasm.
They're out the right there.
This is a moment. The Australians crossing ahead of the Japanese. Massive gains on the right-hand side for the Australian team.
Absolutely. So we've got a good four-way boat race now between Japan, Australia, Great Britain, and the Chinese. Phil Robertson done a really nice job there as well to put his boat back up in the top of this race. So it's going to be game on here at the top gate. Who can nail this next tack and who's going to pick the right gate? Time will tell.
With the ever-changing conditions, it's so hard to pick your ley line. Very difficult.
China looks quite well over on this right-hand side as they go through their tack. If they can get that thing up and foiling pretty quick. A beautiful F50. Have a look at that on the water, that backdrop of Marseille.
Get to that right-hand side, Jody, and you are on starboard attack. You have all the rights of the boats crossing from the other side. Phil Robertson, the match racing world champion, made good gains.
Australia are going to be very, very tight here on a lake. If they can get this, they are coming in super hot. They've definitely taken a place away from the Japanese. And they're on the chase now for the Chinese, so it's even Stevens between China and Australia at the top mark. Split tacks, as you can see. Australia coming over the left-hand side. Phil Robertson and his guys over to the right. Australia have actually, Japan, sorry, might have lost 2 places there. No, Dylan Fletcher and co are just ducking in behind. So Dylan wants to come over and follow the Australians. Shirley, you think they want to get away from that break wall and get out in that open air.
Well, I guess they have a better picture than we have. Massive gusts, Jody, and so hard to control the opposition. You know, unless you get a long way ahead, so difficult. You just got to sail with what you got and try and link it together.
And that was a smoke and jibe there from the Australians. They come around and they just kept that thing up and foiling. And as you can see from the onboard there of China, they are now leading this race. So any of you Australian fans out there, get up and get excited.
Playing at the moment.
Okay, light patch here and 3 no higher slingers rolling down a little, trim it upwards.
You just hear the enthusiasm's back.
Copy that. What are you liking around the bottom?
Breeze is in the left now, isn't it?
Yeah, feel a little lifted just here though.
A little light, I think.
Copy.
Well, we have Tom Slingsby talking to Jason Waterhouse, who's flying the boat. Just trying to get a bit of input of who likes what. Every time they look up the course, it looks different. Yeah, look at the pumps.
I think
they're working that boat.
Whatever they've been doing, stick to it because it's got themselves into the lead. This is the last downwind. They've got one more upwind to go, and they might be able to get that point back on Japanese, or maybe a couple of points because there's a few boats between them and the Japanese at this stage. But anything can happen on this course, as we have seen so far in this race and the one before, Shirley.
I don't think they're going to lay.
Fire, big trip, boys. Working everything in.
Okay, sharper turn here.
Copy that.
They've done a beautiful job nailing that ley line. The Chinese have to do another jibe, so that's going to cost them a little bit of time on the water. How's that for a turn? The first one before was a bit loose. They're back in. They're in the zone.
Yeah, really nice puck where we are.
Yeah, 30 seconds. Go, boys, go, boys, go, boys, go. Keep
Paul
going. Come
Campbell
on,
James calling us grinders to keep on going.
And here's the story. So Japan are now 2 boats between them
faster
and the
this boundary,
Australians.
boys.
So Tommy Slingsby and his crew would love that to stay
Boundary
as it
check
is
this
to the
one,
top
okay?
of this course to the finish, because it just puts more points between them and the Japanese leading in towards this final here in Marseille. Very slow into the that bottom gates, and Nathan definitely wanted to get to that right-hand gate on the downhill. Has he spotted something from the city side of the course? or is he just trying to split and get something else
Yeah,
away
great.
from the
I think
Australian
we're happy
to
to
a
keep
dominating
going
at the
all the way
moment?
in at the moment. It's got headers all the way, I think. Too close to both follow.
Well, Tom Slingsby saying they've got headers all the way in. It means that the wind's going towards the left-hand side.
Definitely get completely different
The
breeze.
VMG will go down.
I think actually we should get out on this next one up here. Little waves, Milky. Copy it. Yeah, choppy waves. Yeah. Okay. I think we take this one out. Yeah, I agree. Okay, stand by.
Tom Slingsby nervous of the right-hand side. Just trying to tack over and reduce his risk.
How cool is this sport? We can get right in amongst the boats and we can listen to exactly what the teams are doing as they are thinking it. Not many other sports gives you that access. It is incredible.
Pressing a little.
My right.
Okay, no, probably good gust in. 27s, I'd say. So left turn to the finish, right? We're thinking?
Must be.
I see the finish mark to the left.
Okay, that must be, yeah.
Yeah, it's got a bit.
Yeah, it was definitely 5 F, so wherever the
Gust
finish is.
here, just keep it going.
A lot of chat today on this boat. Normally not quite so vocal, but there's lots going
Could
on.
be 3 tacks.
Lots of different
20
modes.
seconds to a boundary. Fuck, I don't think we're going to get through to this next gust. Fine. Okay, yeah, we will. Okay, big header coming. Stand by. My rake. Okay.
And they're
Four
just
down.
providing the commentary. You can hear him. It's a big left-hander.
2, 1.
They're going to get a big knock and smash it right on the top of this boundary.
Keep pressing,
And
very
hopefully
light.
get. Oh, it wasn't a very good little
mark
section
break.
there for the British.
Well,
The
range
Chinese have just rolled straight over the top of them. Can they wind that thing
Trying to
up
get
on the
over
British boat? Phil Robinson's just bowed down a little
Gate
bit
right,
there by the looks of it.
Colonel.
And if you look over the top end of the screen, the Japanese have gone
No
way
deeper.
over to the right as well and
Get the
just
hull
look like
down,
they're about to
speed
go
coming
through
fast.
attack over on the right-hand side of the course. But Australia are now in the middle of the course. Here's the drag race. Phil Robinson trying to get across to get that wing wash happening to slow down the British team.
Speed fast forward here.
Yes, and a little bit of language coming off the Australians there, Shirley, so we apologise for that.
Gust on in 2.
China done a nice job there, Shirley. Very high on his right height there. Here's Australia coming up towards the top. Looks like he's made a really, really tight little tack.
Well under ley line there, Jody. I mean, I think he probably tacked there just to protect his position, but way off laying those marks.
I think they're talking about the left-hand turn in towards the finish.
Got to get below this one. Yeah, gotcha.
So here's the finish line in the top of the screen. They've got to make this
This is the
one
umpires. This
more
is the
mark.
umpires. China has a penalty relative GBR. China has a penalty relative GBR.
That's on China, not us.
Yeah. Pressing a little
So
bit.
China done all that nice work to get over the top of GBR. Now they've got to get in behind him. So Australia up around the top for the final time into the gate, where they'll turn around to the left and head in towards the city front here in Marseille. China have to pull the handbrake on and let Britain go in right in front of him, but that will be a drag race in for the second. But here it is, Australia coming in 36 knots right along the break wall in front of the crowd in towards the finish.
That's another one. Guys, what heel angle do?
And there's a nice little tight turn of events between the British and Australia now over for win number 2 here in Marseille.
Yeah. But it should.
That is such an important victory, Jody, and you could see that off the sailors. I mean, they needed to get that, and also putting quite a few points between them and Nathan Outridge and the Japanese boat.
And that penalty to China is pretty much just guaranteed. Britain have gone over in the second spot, China in the third. Very close race between those two boats. You can hear the jubilation off the British team and the anguish off the Chinese. They would be very disappointed there, Phil Robinson and co. But here's the story. Japan way back into 4th spot. So Australia put 2 places back in on them. Japan got 1 point off them in the previous race. Australia just took 2 back off them on that.
Slingsby, please acknowledge receipt.
He's not happy.
No, he hasn't.
He knows it. This race will haunt him. That could cost him dear.
He said in the post-race interview last time their goal was to win every race and get the points back from the Australians, and that one there is going to hurt. Now, local team at France just coming over the finish line now in 5th spot. Remembering the USA are out of this race, so all boats are now finished. Shirley, that was a very interesting one. The Australians look like they've snapped back into gear. They've got their mojo back. The chat was better. The tacks were better. Their drives were better. Doesn't take much, does it? It
was a different boat. I mean, I wonder if their coach, Philip Presti, sort of had a word between races because it just wasn't flowing. But really difficult conditions. And, you know, they haven't done much training this week. Carl's been ill. It's been a really difficult week. They didn't weigh in this morning, so they had to go running. But now they're back in the game.
Yeah, even if we sort of end up just pictures of us talking.
2 fleet races down. Japan won, Australia won. But that would look slightly more convincing for Tom Slingsby for me.
Yeah, you can never write them off, can you? We're sort of saying what a bad day they had yesterday. They looked out of sorts at the first start today. They were behind everyone else. Great racer. They worked their way through, and, you know, here they are. They're here to win this thing too.
Nathan Outridge will be really disappointed with that, though, Jan, because he didn't manage to come in second. He didn't make up the ground.
Yeah, the other team were really doing a good job on tactics, especially on the upwind. So he stayed a bit more back at the pack. But it's normal to see some teams being in the tempo, and sometimes you're just losing the tempo and you need to catch up.
As always, though, we're looking at that overall championship leaderboard. He made up 1 point in the first race, but by coming 4th, he's just slipped down another 4 points.
Yes, which, as we said, could be a really big factor, because if we were to lose the grand final race at the end there, it's all going to come down to these fleet race points. So, yeah, they won't be too happy about that.
Okay. One of the other aspects there, though, that we saw, without USA in the race, Great Britain were in 4th place. Suddenly they've pushed up. That was a fantastic result for Dylan Fletcher.
Yeah, when you have 5th boat instead of 6 on the player field, it's clear out also the option, and you can go maybe more where you want to go when you can be stuck in a much bigger fleet. So it makes a difference, and when you were 4th, well, sure, he was just battling to get the 3rd spot in that race, and he managed pretty well to do it.
Yep, 2nd place in the end because of the penalty on China.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the big factor at the end. But they were sailing the course really well. And we've seen glimpses of them this year where they've looked really, really strong. And it's no surprise that they're knocking on the door for that 3rd place. They've looked the 3rd strongest team throughout most of the year. 2 big errors have really made it hard for them. But, you know, they're back.
OK, fantastic performance for Great Britain. So, confirmation of the fleet race results here. Tom Slingsby banking 10 full points. Japan with just 7 points down there in 4th place. But Dylan Fletcher, Phil Robertson in that battle for the 3rd spot, banking some very, very valuable points. We can head out now onto the water. Shirley Robertson is talking to Tom Slingsby.
Well, Tom Slingsby, what a race. It felt very much like you're back in the game.
I guess I'm getting told that we're not in the game, but we feel like we're in the game. Yeah, practice racing yesterday didn't go great for us, but we're fine. Our confidence is high, and yeah, the only people who are doubting us are, I think, you guys in the commentary booth. We're happy.
Well, we like to build a bit of jeopardy, but it felt and it sounded like a different team, a different boat to that first race.
Honestly, I actually think we sailed unbelievably in the first race. We're a long way back. I keep sitting in a spot where Nathan can hook us, and I think he'll go to the line, but he doesn't. So, yeah, it's just super on my behalf, but we sailed unbelievably in the first race. I thought to get back to second. We did three foiling tacks within about a 30-second period to get a right gate and catch the leaders. It was really good in the first one. And then that one, yeah, it went really well. We're in phase with the wind. The guys made really good calls.
It's exciting to watch. It certainly feels from our perspective like the battle, the match race has started already. What does it feel like on board?
Yeah, Nathan's obviously going for us in the pre-starts, and yeah, like that's fine. Doesn't bother us. Even if we start a little back, we know we're going to come through well, so he can keep trying all he wants. He had a 4th in that one and we won, so yeah, he's got to do better than that, I guess.
Well, we're enjoying watching. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
No question. There's a lot of friction out on the water there, gentlemen. Tom, he looked more relaxed now, but that certainly wasn't the case one race ago.
No, he wasn't. And maybe that's what he needs. He needs to get punched down and he'll get back up again. Look at the fall time there. You know, there's only 1 second where 1 minute where they weren't falling and all that time. That's pretty impressive. Max speeds. I mean, yeah, these guys are flying around the course. But yes, he looks so much happier. The mind games is just batted back the other way again, hasn't it? You know, it's brilliant.
Well, Shirley made the point there that the match race has started already, Jan.
Yeah, and it's funny to see the guys laughing about that, because it can be really stressful, but they just take it easy and say, okay, try to hook me up at the starts. And then I didn't manage to get the proper starts, but I managed to sail the course and be back on that race. So it's pretty good for the next step.
Okay, let's take a look at the analysis of the race, and we're going to start at the beginning, Matt.
Let's start the start again. Another impressive start. The first impressive bit is the Japanese, bang, look at that, on the B of bang, we call that, and off they went, but then it didn't materialize into a good race. But just here, the Chinese love the French, and they don't respond, they don't keep clear of the leeward boat, and they get a penalty. That's quite significant. You see them here in a second having to slow the boat. Once Richard Slater tells them they've got a penalty, they have to really put the brakes on. And you see that you've got to let all these guys go past, and this is a bad time to get a penalty. They don't have to let all these guys go past, actually it's just the Chinese, but it means they're in the dirt of everyone else, and that's particularly slow, so tough for them. But that let the Chinese get a bit of a slingshot underneath them and put them into a really good place, so they were able to sort of challenge for the lead throughout this race.
It's so disappointing for Billy though, Jan, because he timed that slingshot perfectly.
Yeah, at the previous start he was perfect timing, but they just failed to respond to the Chinese luff, and that's the rules, and that's happened, and you can be perfect on the start and just do a small mistake afterwards. So let's have a look at, he's going to push on the 3rd start, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, what about Australia though? It was a masterclass from Slingsby, wasn't it?
Yeah, you know, we almost wrote them off at the start of the show saying how bad they were yesterday, but we did say, hey, they'll fight back, and you know, he's a fighter, as we said, but he's literally a fighter. He does jiu-jitsu or something like that, I'm not sure what it is, and he's bounced back and he's got the smile back on, and they look like we've sort of said that in these kind of conditions, a bit like New York, it tends to favour Nathan and the Japanese team a little bit more. They seem better in those kind of shifty conditions, but actually they seemed to be dealing with it just as well out there. And even in the first race, you know, after a bad start, they actually sailed the course probably quicker than the Japanese. So yeah, really strong.
Right at the right time.
Yeah, dealing with the conditions just fine. It's great to see them get their patter back.
Yeah, after 3 days of illness, it doesn't look like Carl Langford is too affected. He's managed to settle into the day's sailing. But you said earlier, Matt, that it's incredibly difficult when you're feeling terrible to get focused. And
it is. I think, fortunately, once the race starts, the adrenaline kicks in, and adrenaline can really help you when you're out there not feeling, you know, 100%. But it's horrible in the build-up to the race when you're just sort of dragging your butt a little bit, and you know, you're sort of thinking, should I be here? Should I not be here? Am I going to be, you know, worse than having the substitute guy, and you don't know what to do, and it's a horrible feeling, horrible way to start racing.
Okay, at the end of the race though there, Jan, we saw Great Britain and China really going toe-to-toe. It was a great battle.
Yeah, it's definitely a great battle, and I think the course looked pretty good on both sides of the course, but just before the gates they come really close to each other, and at some points the Brit boats ask for a penalty and the Chinese get penalized. So
yeah, that's right. What happened there was they sailed into the zone of the boundary, and once, because they're inside overlap, the British boat there, as soon as they get into that zone, they can turn straight away, and the Chinese boat just has to be out of their way. And if they are in the way, they're going to get a penalty straight away. So that's why the Chinese should have seen that coming, really. They should have preempted it going into that zone.
Okay, well, it ended up being Great Britain who took 2nd place in there, just ahead of the Chinese, and have stamped their credentials on 3rd place for the moment. But tomorrow we're going to be showing you a little more about the science of foiling in these F50s as we get on board with the British SailGP team to show you exactly how these boats fly. We've shot some amazing footage out here on the Mediterranean, to show how the boats create lift and exactly what happens when it goes wrong, as we saw here in Cowes. That was a big off for the British SailGP team. But out on the water now, we've got Lisa Darman in. Lisa, is there any word on the US team? Have they managed to get that foil fixed?
Yep, the USA team is all fixed and they've been tearing around the bay out here, so they should be good to go. And seeing that battle between the British and Chinese, I know that there's a really big fight for third out here.
Okay, thank you very much, Lisa. A little bit of drop out there as the wind gets up out on the water from Lisa, but you can see the US up and sailing there. So this boat is back in the water, back in the game.
Yeah, and the guys were just training for the last 10 minutes, so it means they're going to be fully ready for the race number 3.
Okay. How these guys, the wind's picked up immeasurably though between the first fleet race and the third fleet race.
Yeah, it's just slowly been building all day. It's kind of been shifting right, which means the breeze is coming more from the sea, and that's just the pressure's just sort of filled in into the bay a little bit. But yeah, really good to see these guys back in. We kind of knew that gear failure was going to be an issue, and it might continue to be an issue this weekend. But, you know, obviously we don't want these guys to lose too many races and give them a chance to still do well in this season.
Well, talking about mechanical issues, the one time that Japan didn't suffer a mechanical, they won in New York. So if Nathan Outridge can keep a clean nose here, then he'll be absolutely fine, I'm sure. But we're going to take a quick look as the leaderboard develops throughout this event. We can see what it looks like now. So 2 fleet races down, going into the third and final fleet race today. Australia have stretched out that lead to 6 points. The battle for third is also heating up. It's back to commentary for the third fleet race.
140.
This is a battle that's going to run all the way to Marseille.
For us, it's all about winning the match race final and winning events.
Board going down. Got to watch Japan again.
1 minute
Here.
15.
Great conditions here in the Bay of Marseille. The wind is
110.
filled in, blown offshore off the city between 14 and 20 knots.
Coming up at
and
you.
a little bit of
They'll be
bump.
coming down.
It's going to be
Okay,
fun.
big trim, boys. Full speed.
It is. Welcome to race 3 in the grand
It's going to come
final.
down.
Australia,
All right,
day
on the
number
foil.
1.
Yep.
We have all boats back
Okay, you
on the
got 20
water,
to
which
kill.
is
When it comes down
fantastic.
hard,
USA have fixed their problem and are going to race. So it's
20
a
to
full
kill.
fleet that are just about to end. We have 50 seconds to go, and everybody's away from the start line.
43. 18 to kill. Copy. Japan, follow you down. Okay, turning up to a BMG pin. 38. 3, 2,
Looks like Australia trying to run away from Japan there. They don't want to get hooked like Tommy Smith just said. He's just, Nathan was hooking him, getting in a position where he could hook him. Nathan's pushing really hard to get the Japanese boat up underneath the Australian.
Yep.
Can he get it in there, or can
Yeah,
Tommy
racing still
Slingsby
here.
and his crew pull the
Tommy's
trigger
safe
with
on the
20
software.
seconds to go and nail this start?
4 to kill. 3 to kill. 2 to kill. 11 to kill. 10. 9.
Calling the time and distance all the time. That's what you're hearing from the onboards. And look at the speed grow. Nathan Outridge
He has
is accelerating fast.
smoked that start. It's a great start there between Japan and Australia. Both boats right on the limit there. These guys are now into it, Shirley.
There was nothing between them on that start.
It is on. So Australia need to try
Going
and roll
right,
over the
keep
top.
pushing speed here. Robbie, he might get round us.
You hear their Outridge going. He might get over the top. Tommy would like nothing more than to roll over the top of him and get into this first mark. It is so close in between these two boats. Australia
Flag
through
it! Yep, flagged.
there. Japan trying to
Hold
flag
it
it. It's a
straight.
flag. What a flag is put the penalty up. Japan trying to take Australia all the way to the right-hand side, Shirley.
Japan must do something now because they're right at the boundary.
2. Wide lock.
All boats are sailing way past the boundary there on that graphic. China's jibing, France are jibing, USA trying to jibe. Off that graphic, a lot of the fleet have gone out, but we are continuing to race. China doing a nice job.
Right.
Japan done a nice job on their jibe. Australia not so there, Shirley.
Japan really extending
Gonna get
there.
softer, mate.
great manoeuvre, pushing Australia all the way to the boundary.
Laying in, so just full speed and we'll go the other mark.
The little graphic might have been just slightly off there because all boats are still racing and Japan doing an awesome job. Australia.
He's going to have to try and jibe inside us.
You hear their outreach saying he might have to jibe on the inside of us, so will Australia pick the left-hand gate going out and will Japan jibe first and then go over to the right to try to get that split happening?
No, standing by.
Here they go, right on cue.
You're right, mate.
Australia got a nice big puff right down there and just sent them straight down the middle of that course, and it looks like they're going to make the left-hand gate. Japan, as I thought, have to jibe. So the race is still on. They're tight at the top, and they are dead set tight down here at the bottom. Good job there by Australia. Shirley, which way would you go, left or right? Left or right?
These two teams are so impressive, Jodie. I mean, absolute accurate execution and split-second decision-making. What's going to split them?
France not having a very good rounding at all. USA splitting the gate, so they're going around. So 3 boats have gone in towards the city, 3 have come out to the sea. Australia have tacked. So we should see a cross fairly soon because Japan would have got to that left-hand side. Look at the breeze down the middle of the course there, Shirley.
Looks good where the Aussies are. Great breeze on that right-hand side.
And off that graphic, that shot right there, looks like the Aussies have done a nice job. If Japan can wind it up, which is what they're starting to do now, and get something from the left, it could take a little bit of time out of the Aussies here.
Australia has all the rights. They're on starboard tack, wind coming from the right-hand side.
25 target, 2 knots to
just as we thought, the Japanese have done a good job. They've just got to duck in behind the Aussies who had right away on the starboard tack. But it is back on. It is close.
Japan now on the right-hand side of the course. So when they tack back, they are on starboard tack. They have right of way. Right is right.
Who has the face sorted out? Australia's tack.
Yeah, copy that.
A bit nervous, not wanting the Japanese to get over to this right-hand side. 20 seconds to the boundary.
Looking pretty
Nathan
nice
calling.
still. Okay, 15. Little speed build, standing by. My wing.
They look quite nice over on this right-hand side. They've got to nail this tack. Here we go. Can they get a good foiling tack?
Just like that. There's so much G-force in those turns.
And they've got it. They are back in front now, the Japanese. Australia now coming across. They swap positions. Australia are going to have to go just in behind the Japanese.
On angle. He's right now,
but there's nothing in this race. Absolutely nothing. Now Australia are going to have the right advantage. Will Japan tack off early, or will they like the left-hand side? The top's very, very tricky because it's up underneath the break wall here in Marseille. So the breeze can be anywhere at the very top. But this midsection, they all seem to like the right-hand side down at the bottom end of the course.
Now it's about picking your angle, picking your lay line, avoiding doing too many manoeuvres. And quite often, if the conditions are stable, you can rely on the software, on the computer to help you. But not today. This is seat of the pants. Speed sailing.
You see here, there's GB just happened to take the stern of China. So China didn't have any right away there, Shirley. So that led to a protest. But the Aussies still in front of Japan. The British, who are carrying a protest flag
this
at
is
the
the
moment.
umpires. This is the umpires. GBR, you have a boundary penalty. You are about 2 boat lengths.
Going forward.
Oh, they got a boundary penalty, so they have to lose 2 boat lengths. So they're coming back into this fight as well, was the British team. But now they have to slow up. They still haven't washed that boundary penalty off. Here comes the split for the first time at the top mark in race number 3 here in Marseille. Will it be the Aussies that lead to the top? Will it be the Japanese who are on starboard tack, just getting in behind the Australians and splitting these gates?
If you get into the zone, the circle first, you have all the rights to get round.
And that's interesting. Tom and his crew decided they want to go with Nathan. And Nathan's
slow.
just going to go straight
They're
below
so
here.
slow, the Aussies.
very, very slow.
straightening.
He might hate that decision. He might have been better off going to that right-hand side and keeping the hammer down because it's opened the door for the Japanese team to get back in front of the Australians. Almost a 100-metre lead within 100 metres from that top mark. That's how critical it is to stay up on the foil, Shirley.
It was a massive error by the Aussies. They were slow and they went into a big manoeuvre and got even slower.
And they opened the door right just underneath and the Japanese could go underneath.
My wheel.
Straight through. Now it's up to the Aussies to go and chase that Japanese boat.
Sorry, one with board. My right.
Jason Waterhouse, flight controller, Olympic silver medalist.
Crossing the bridge, correct? Yep, comfortable across. All right. Okay.
So the British team in the middle of the course, coming back into it. Dylan Fletcher has got a nice little right-hander there that's taking them straight down towards the Australians and the Japanese. And there's the view from on board Australia down towards the Japanese boat. Look at the British team, Shirley. They're coming right back into it. This is going to be a 3-boat race before we know it.
Flattening the boat a bit, Dale.
I think Tom Slingsby only has eyes for one boat, as does Nathan. They are locked on each other. This is going to run and run till Sunday. They're practicing for the match race.
There's a little bit to play for, so yeah, I guess that's where their eyes are. Anyway, this is it for the final time on the downhill on this race. Japan still in front of Australia now, just going through their jibe. Britain, if they can nail this jibe, they can make it very interesting into this bottom area and then get out to the favoured seaside of this work. So,
yeah, you're right.
What will Tom do? Will he follow the Japanese or will he try and split this time?
2, 1, coming up.
Big one, big one, big one.
My right, yours.
Very, very fast turn by Japan. Australia a little bit slow, just had to wash off a little bit of height. Now it's a tight turn for them, but the British, they're back into it. Well, are they going to the favoured side, Shirley? Seems like everyone made gains out on that seaside of the course.
25
the Aussies and the Japanese going towards the city.
It's fluctuating all the time. I mean, I like the look of the left.
The British still pumping out to the right-hand side. Japan now attacking pretty close to their boundary. Australia attacking underneath them. The British nail this tack. They're going to be right back into this.
Right. Not too high here. Header is for normal. Right.
Here they come, winding that thing up out of the tack. Oh, a little bit loose there on the flight controller, Stewie Bithell. But he grabbed it very nice. So it looks like the British might be just about to take second spot here.
26 not target, Dale.
Nathan Outridge and the Japanese love that. That's one more place between them.
A lot of talk on boards about targets. You hear that coming from the wingmen all the time because conditions are changing all the time. They need to know what they're aiming for.
Board down.
Remember, this is the last upwind. We've got a super yacht right in the middle of Australia, so Australia have to attack here. They would not be liking the fact that that big hump of fiberglass is stuck in the middle of the course, because they would have loved to have been able to get a little bit further over to the right to get a little bit more gauge on the Japanese, which has almost put them straight in behind where they need to be.
Yeah, and no oil. Yeah. No, we just got to beat these other guys.
The pumps are hot. They're complaining of no oil, which means it's really they can't move the foils or the twist in the wing as fast as they want to. It goes into a kind of conservative mode.
You see here where the tanks, a little graphic there where the tanks and the pumps are situated on the boat. But that's got to be very disconcerting when you're about to have to do a manoeuvre like a tack, that they've got themselves back in the second spot.
There is so much adjusting going on to keep that platform stable. Maximum power in the rig. Australia paying for it now.
Below the mark, I think, buddy.
They've done a really nice job pumping themselves back into second. Can the British get over here? Nathan Outridge would love nothing more than the British to put a place in between him and the Australians. We've got about 400 metres to go towards the top end of this course and then into the finish line.
Getting lighter in about 5, okay? Just press on him a bit harder here.
Okay, and up slowly. Coming down to to give his bad air, his wing wash into the Aussies to slow him down and to control the situation.
You can see there by the wake of the Japanese boat, he came right over the top of him, just so the Aussies have to tack early and hopefully not make that very top gate. Here comes the tack.
Well overstood.
Beautiful tack by both boats. Now it's the drag race. They said well overstood, which means they can come in super fast, Shirley. The Aussies might have to be a bit slow.
Yeah, I'm not sure the Aussies are laying. You can see them, they're slow, they haven't got room to accelerate. And the Japanese are extending their way towards victory in that finish line.
And just as we said, that Japanese are around, the Aussies look like they're just going to make it up and around. But we're on board here with Nathan Outridge flying in towards Marseille and the city front to take a race number 3 victory and to get one more point back on the Aussies. He would love the British team to actually take the place off the Aussies, but it's not going to happen. There it is, Japan over the line for race number 3.
That was a lot of fun, that race.
A bit nicer when we can talk to each other.
Oh.
A lot of fun. Tom Slingsby and his crew, I'm not sure they thought it was a lot of fun. They had a few issues. They're over for the second position, but they only lose 1 point to the Japanese. And the British done a great job there, Shirley.
Great day for the British team. I mean, they really need a consistent result. Disasters in the last 2 events, and firmly now in 3rd place overall in the leaderboard.
Exactly, because the USA team have lost 2 races today, and they're currently last in this race, so that would make the British team pretty chuffed indeed. Here comes the hometown heroes, Billy Besson and his team from France, just taking it in over the line now for 4th position. Well done, France.
Super, you heard him say it. They're pleased.
High fives and super. Gotta love the French. China over now for 5th. USA have had a day that they would love to just wipe out.
80, both of them.
Coming over the line now for last place.
I've never seen both pumps at 80.
Both pumps at 80. I mean, I think most of them have had the same problem. There's so many adjustments to make that they're struggling.
Yeah, well, a lot of the teams were using a heap of twist in their wings, so that's just relying on so much oil pressure to be coming off that boat, and the pumps are just working overtime. So Australia had their difficulties, lost oil pressure. They still remained in 2nd spot.
What a great day, Jody. What a tease to what's in store. More wind tomorrow, more action between the Japanese and the Aussies. It's great fun.
I can't wait. It's going to be a crackerjack day, that's for sure.
Well, that was spectacular. It's dogfighting in F50s, the fastest class of racing boat, and Tom Slingsby and Nathan Outridge just throwing them around out there. It was spectacular racing.
Yeah, they're getting in their match race practice already, you know. They're still focusing on the points, but they're only, as Shirley alluded to it there, they're only looking at each other. It's just about those 2 as far as they're concerned now.
And there's 3 days of racing, Jan, and yet it feels like every single inch in the water matters to each of them at the moment.
Yeah, they won't give up on any of this because we never know what's going to happen on Sunday with the forecast, so it might be one reason. But I think the main reason is just that they keep practicing for the match racing, because they really want to get the prize at the end and winning the season. So they know that the more you practice, even if you need to take care of the other boats, the better it's going to be for the last day.
Okay, you talked about practicing there. We can take a closer look at the start now. And we saw Nathan Outridge, Tom Slingsby talked about it after the 2nd race. He said Nathan's practicing the hook, the match racing hook on him.
Yeah, and they have a go. They have a go, like we're saying, it's all about the match racing for them now, and they actually have a go at trying to get to the Australians here. A little bit before that, they kind of were getting close. The Aussies did a good job of just staying out of the way of them, but you can see them hunting them there. The amazing thing is, though, even though they were focused on each other there, both of them had an awesome start. Both of them were on the line with pace at start time.
Well, Nathan's desperately trying to push Tom out of the way there, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, he is. He really just wants to get underneath him, ruffle his feathers, you know, and a lot of it still is the mind games that are going on here for the, you know, the rest of the weekend.
Okay, well, Tom Slingsby got away and showed them a clean set of heels, but it was a phenomenal piece of work from Nathan Outridge to dive for the inside of the mark and eventually take the win. Okay, we can head out onto the water now. Shirley Robertson's talking to Nathan Outridge.
Well, Nathan, you crossed the line and you said that was a lot of fun. What was so enjoyable about it? The winning or the taking part?
Sorry, I think the fact that we could talk to each other in that last race was a lot of fun. We lost our whole communication system the race before, but mate, like, how cool is that? We're racing against, you know, some of the best sailors in the world in quite a tricky venue here, and we're trying to claw points back on the Aussies, and Tommy just flipped me the board as he went past there.
We saw you give him a quick wave, and every time we look at the two of you, you're locked on each other. You know, is this match race started already, or are you only focused on them?
Yeah, it started in the first race for us. This whole event's about getting ready for that big match race, and why not practice match race starting in the pre-start? You can see we're chasing them quite aggressively, and around the track we're having some good battles, and I think we're both rising to the occasion, and you know, you can see they're sailing very well, and we hope we can get some more solid races in the next couple of days.
We hope so too. It's been great watching. Thanks, Nathan.
Okay, let's take a look. Confirmation of the third and final fleet race results from today. The grand final here in Marseille. Nathan Outridge claws it back again on Tom Slingsby, but it's only a point this time. Again, Great Britain with a fantastic performance in third place, and Billy Besson in fourth on home water. The United States finished a miserable first day here in Marseille in sixth place. So let's see what those individual race results mean when we tack them onto the overall championship leaderboard. So Australia still out in lead. They've stretched that by 3 points today. And then we've got Great Britain at the moment comfortably in third place ahead of China. The United States slipping down into equal fourth. So, gentlemen, it's 3 days of racing, and tomorrow is another full schedule. 3 fleet races, 4, 5 and 6, starting at 20 to 3 local time here in Marseille. And then we move on to that third and final race day. 2 more fleet races to decide classifications, 3rd to 6th. And then we've got the championship final race, which will decide the $1 million. But gents, it was billed as a marathon over 3 days, but the intensity felt like a sprint today, Jan.
Yeah, I think it's definitely delivered. We got a great show, and the forecast was on set as planned. So it's a good sign for the other day as well, because it might be not too strong for the F50. So I'm pretty confident we're going to see even more actions tomorrow. And the team just confirmed they were training for the last days in light winds, but it doesn't matter. They know how to fly, and they were flying on pretty good track today.
On the strength of what we saw today, Matt, we've got a really interesting form guide to look at, because Tom Slingsby's performed the best in strong winds, but Nathan Outridge is undoubtedly the best at wind whispering when conditions are chopping and changing. So who do you think is going to really excel in these conditions? Is it too early to say?
Who do I think is going to win? Are we there already? I'm not ready for that. I really don't know.
Who's going to perform better in stronger wind conditions, given how gusty it is?
I think if you had to say one, you'd probably say the Japanese, because of what happened in New York, because that was a bit more similar to those kind of conditions. But then when it was a bit more even and strong breezing cows, I mean, the Australians were just so dominant. There's a cigarette paper between the two of them. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to sit firmly on the fence on this one.
Okay, what about the battle for third place? Because we've got these 2 very separate battles developing now, and that's looking even tighter.
Yeah, and I think today we've seen the Brits doing a pretty good job. They've been third in many races, and really well in the tempo, in the shift we can have down here. And if the wind is stronger, it's going to be even more shifty. So I'm pretty confident they can do a good job for the third place battle.
worth mentioning, Phil Robertson had a great performance for the Chinese.
He's been looking good as the season's gone on, and I think bringing CJ in on the wing for him, Paul Campbell-James, has really helped him with that. And they do look strong. Yeah, can they challenge the Brits though? They've kind of got the bit between their teeth. I guess it comes down to any big crashes again. If they can avoid that, I'd still say the Brits will probably pip them.
Okay, that's it for today's racing here in Marseille. Please come back and join us for more drama tomorrow in the grand final of SailGP.
We are finally here. The grand final is upon us.
Well, what a weekend of sporting drama these fans are going to see. It's pretty fruity, it's gusty, it's shifty.
And this is what you call a dead set, a drag race to the top.
A class act from Nick Outridge and his Japanese team.
Any of you Australian fans out there, get up and get excited.
Could not be harder for our sailors. This is going to run and run till Sunday.
It's cool as Michael Jackson, though.
No, we've already splashed out this time. Let's go a bit higher with that. There we go. So that'll be a presenter mic, Mark. Presenter mic, presenter mic.
Sorry, Jodie.
It's all good, mate.
I was just
You
checking
like saying
everything's okay, we're all
fat boys
good.
with hairy chests?
Just what I came in for.
I hope, mate. You're right.
Yeah, don't send me.
Got your lunch for when you're done.
Oh, cool.
All under control.
Hold on.
Oh my god.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
It was actually a good half hour after.
There is, well, it says present guest, but they're both. So I'm doing present guest, but.
No, yeah, I'll do.